Conor Benn wins a 10 round unanimous decision over Sebastian Formella. This was Benn's most complete performance yet as a professional. And the fact that he beat Formella just as comfortably, if not more comfortably, than Sean Porter, obviously doesn't necessarily mean he's better than Sean Porter. But what it does mean is he has certainly improved a lot as a fighter. He's matured a lot. And it's not unthinkable now to put him in with the likes of a Josh Kelly, a guy he's been calling for years. So Ben went in there, and I said before the fight, the fact there isn't a crowd might actually help Conor Benn, because he's the kind of fighter who might get carried away when the crowd are cheering. And that might lead him to fight a more reckless fight and make more mistakes because the crowd, just G him up to such a level that he can't contain himself anymore. That's the type of character he is. And because he's young, he's not a jaded fighter. He doesn't really need the crowd to pump him up and fill him full of energy. His dad, in the latter stages of his career, he needed fear. He needed the crowd, because he wasn't the young, hungry, full of energy fighter that he was when he was on the rise. When Nigel Benn was fighting in front of much smaller crowds and stuff like that on the way up, didn't really need the crowd as much. He had the energy in him anyway. But as he got older, he needed the crowd more. He needed the fear factor more. Okay? Conor Benn at the moment doesn't really need the fear factor as much, doesn't really need the crowd as much. I think, based upon what I saw against Formella, the fact there was no crowd may well have helped him to maintain more discipline. Now, he still got wild at times. He was trying to take Formella out, but I liked the way Conor Benn was using his jab. He was maintaining good distance. He was the more effective fighter at long range. He was the more athletically gifted fighter. He had the much better punch variety. He was just the better talent all round. Formella, very tough, unbelievably tough, and very game. Never stopped trying the whole fight, but very limited. And it was actually a real good showcase for Conor Benn to put into practice all the things he would have been working on all year and for several years as a professional. He was able to put them into practice in this fight, a lot of them anyway. And his trainer, Tony Sims, has been saying that Conor Benn has so much more in his locker than he's shown so far as a pro. And perhaps this was what he was talking about. And he has boxed in other fights too. He hasn't just been an all-out slugger in every fight before. No, he's boxed. Like in the rematch with Payno, he boxed. But this was a more assured performance. And by the way, Payno has been a nuisance for Conor Benn because even the rematch was quite tough. But it would be interesting to see him with Payno again. I mean, maybe he shouldn't fight the guy 3 times. Maybe that's a bit of overkill. But for my own curiosity, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Payno again just to see the level of improvement, that Conor Benn has managed to have. So, yeah, I thought it was a real good performance. You can't complain. He wasn't able to get the guy out of there, but neither was Sean Porter. So, it is what it is. Onwards and upwards for Conor Benn. I know that he's been called out by some of his domestic rivals. Florian Marku is somebody who's been calling him out. I know Florian Marku is Eastern European, but he's based in the UK. He's been calling out Conor Benn. Conor Benn doesn't seem interested in that fight. He seems interested only in the Josh Kelly fight. He's not looking to fight people who have a lower profile than himself. He's looking to fight people that have a bigger profile. Not a smaller, but a bigger profile than himself. So I get it. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Marku, to be honest, because that Marku guy is a very fiery character himself, a very controversial character. I wouldn't mind seeing Conor Benn against Marku at all. But I can understand why he's targeting Josh Kelly instead. Josh Kelly, of course, has got to get past Avanesian, and that's no foregone conclusion. So let's see what happens. But so far, so good for Conor Benn. He's maturing nicely. And I said in the pre-fight video that he's definitely got the mentality, the tenacity, and the fighting spirit of his dad. But he hasn't necessarily shown the talent or the punching power. His dad was obviously bigger, middleweight, super middleweight. But pound for pound, he hasn't shown that kind of punching power. But maybe in time he will show that he is comparable with his dad in terms of talent. He's got a long, long way to go. And he's going to fight much tougher opposition than this guy in order to prove it. But I mean, I'm a lot more convinced by Conor Benn right now than I was a year or two ago. A lot more convinced. So he's gradually, slowly but surely, starting to tick a few boxes and look more like a serious welterweight. But, one thing I will still say is that Conor Benn is small. I've seen Conor Benn in real life. I've seen Kell Brook in real life. I've seen Lamont Peterson in real life. I've seen several world-level welterweights in real life. And Conor Benn, from what I can remember anyway, because I didn't see them all at the same time, he was by far the smallest. Very small guy, slender build. Kell Brook, when I saw him in real life, him compared to Conor Benn, in terms of their physical size, it's night and day. Like, Kell Brook is like the Incredible Hulk compared to Conor Benn if you see them in real life. Kell Brook is a much more muscular, big, thick-set guy than Conor Benn. And I think he might be a bit taller than Conor Benn as well. But just much, much bigger physical specimen. And I can only imagine the likes of, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, those guys are going to be similar in size to Kell Brook. So Conor Benn is still a small welterweight. That doesn't mean he can't achieve at world level. We'll have to wait and find out. But I have to imagine even against Josh Kelly, he's going to look really small. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Conor Benn, his future, his performance here against Sebastian Formella. How far you think he can go. Has he started to tick a few boxes for you the way he has for me? Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to access all my boxing content advert-free and enjoy the convenience of listening via a podcast app with the option to download in high-quality MP3, then consider joining me on Patreon. In addition to the aforementioned perks, you'll also gain access to exclusive weekly live stream Q&A sessions and hangouts, as well as uncensored, no-holds-barred uploads which are too blue for YouTube. This includes my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Boxing Extra. There's no contract, there's no commitment, it's only £2.50 a month and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of hardcore boxing enthusiasts by signing up with me here on Patreon today.